In this movie, we conclude our look at padding by finishing adding the padding to our project. So while we're here in our tutorial section, we want to go ahead and set something up that's going to make our paragraphs for our teasers of the tutorial kind of stand out from the rest of the text. So to do that, we're going to go ahead and add in some padding. And in order to do that, we're going to have to add in a class to each one of these paragraphs. So I'm going to go ahead and jump over into the HTML and do that. So I'll go ahead and scroll to the beginning of my tutorials and then go to the first paragraph and add in class equal tutorial. And then just to save time, I'll copy that because it's going to be exactly the same for each one of our paragraphs in our tutorial section. And then go to the next paragraph tag and paste that in. And jump on down to the next one. Paste that in as well. We could have used a descendant selector inside of the tutorial section and then look for all of the paragraphs. And that would actually get everything that we're looking for. But I just wanted to use a different method of setting up our rules. So there I paste in the last one for this Scribus section. I'll go ahead and save that. And jump back over here into the CSS page and scroll on down again to the tutorial section. And after the tutorials H2, I'll go ahead and set up my class, which is the tutorial class. And for that, I'll set up my padding, and this time I'm going to use my shorthand, and I will use 2M 10px, 10px, and 2m. Now here I've written my padding out as the 4-value padding because I have the top and left side set to 2m and the right and bottom sides set to 10 pixels. So I could not use any of the other shorthand methods because this is very particular. Now, something you might have noticed also that I'm mixing measurement systems here, and according to specification, that's perfectly all right. So I'll go ahead and I'll just save that, and then jump over to my browser here and refresh, and we see it take effect. So here we've got some pretty good space going on. I'm going to need to jump back into my CSS here and scroll on down to the bottom and find my footer, because I also wanted to affect that as well. I'll set my padding, and this time I'll use a 2-value shorthand. So I'll do 0.1m for the top and bottom, and then 2m for the left and right. So I'll go ahead and save that and jump back in here, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and then I will refresh. And I see that I get this nice black bar down there. Of course, there's actually one last thing I need to do before I'm done here, and that's add in the rule for that content section. So I do need to jump back up to the top here and put that right before our news. So here we go, content. And this is going to have a padding of 100%. Go ahead and save that and jump over here, and whenever I refresh, I should see that all of my content jumps over to the side of it. Alright, so there we go. Now we can kind of see a little bit more about how our content will be laid out. Now I do want to mention something about putting your padding in. Typically, I don't necessarily follow this specific order for adding in my different properties. As I mentioned before, my method is not necessarily the method that will work for anybody else, but essentially what I do is I focus on one little area and I add in the different properties that are needed for that area. Then I move on to another area and add in the properties for that specific area, getting things looking the way that I want them. And that actually includes positioning elements on screen before I start applying my padding and margins and borders. So the way that I'm showing you this is not necessarily the way that I personally do it. I'm showing you how to do it this way because it makes the most logical sense for you to learn as much as possible based on the specific topics that we cover in each one of these sections. So keep that in mind and know that whenever you're applying padding, you may decide to apply it at a different time than the time that I'm applying it. So that concludes this look at putting padding into our project.